I keep getting asked, why Paul Haber? Why write a book about that guy? That's the guy that stole from his family and friends, deserted his 4 kids, his wives, was caustic, irreverent, disrespectful, generally disliked. Why write a book about that guy? Well, I'm Monty Near. I wrote this book, Undiagnosed, Unscrupulous, Unbeatable, the Paul Haber story. See, there's more to the story than what the public perception of Paul Haber was. And it was a story worth telling. Because what Haber could do with a little black rubber ball, like this, and a pair of thin leather handball gloves, like this, made him an absolute rock star back in the 60s and 70s. In fact, newspapers and magazines coast to coast covered his exploits in their stories. Even the front page of the Wall Street Journal had a feature story of Paul Haber. How many athletes ever achieved that? For 7 years, nobody could really beat Haber at his game, despite his regimen of training, consisting of cigarettes, booze, women, and song. Nobody could really beat him. Even when he showed up at the handball courts hungover or drunk, nobody seemed to be able to beat him. Or when the police were in pursuit, or the creditors were pounding on his door, nobody was able to beat him at his game. Oftentimes, the noise from the gallery and the spectators was so loud and the booing so crazy that it rattled the very walls of the court he was playing on, and yet he was able to win. But the public perception of Haber was only a part of the story. And the real story was never really uncovered until my book. Paul Haber had a problem, you see, and what he had to overcome to achieve what he did is an astonishing story. I contend, and I make a very strong point to the fact that Haber suffered from a mental disorder. As a child, Haber suffered severe beatings from his father, a case of child abuse to the nth degree. As an adult, Haber was prosecuted and charged and sentenced to jail for 6 months, twice. He was also placed in a mental institution twice. And yet, the public had no idea of all the stuff going on in his background. All they witnessed is what they saw, and all they were aware of is, here's Paul Haber, a great handball player, but kind of a bum, a handball bum, the bad boy of handball. And yet, the story that was untold was totally alien to them. And they seemed to relish watching the Paul Haber train wreck. It's sad, really. When Paul Haber asked me to write his life story, I was reluctant to do so. But he wanted it all out there. He said, I want you to write about the good, bad, and the ugly, and tell it all. And I was reluctant, but I'm glad I did. Because right now, the sport that he championed has come back and given me high praise. The friends that he had and his family have thanked me for setting the story straight. And the people who thought they knew Paul Haber have thanked me. And so has the mental health profession said, thanks for telling that story. And the sports historians have given me high marks. But this book has also received 5-star reviews on the book review sections of Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, because they all agree that the Paul Haber story is worth telling, and it's much more than what the headlines from past and what the stories were about Paul Haber. There is a deeper hidden story in there, and I seem to have uncovered it. You'll find out if you read this book, Undiagnosed, Unscrupulous, and Unbeatable, the Paul Haber Story. It's available wherever books are sold, and you can get a copy of it on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or any one of a dozen websites. If you're interested in a signed copy of the book, go to the website, paulhaberstories.com. I'm Monty Neerum. I'm the author, and thanks for watching this video.